You have your oven preheated?
Oven preheated.
On the way.
On the way. All right, perfect.
Soon, very soon.
Very soon. You guys have 2 cameras going in there?
Yep.
You might have to mute one of the microphones.
Oh, sure.
It's part of the Zoom setting.
All right. So if we're ready to get started, it's just us today. It's a nice intimate class. You should have in your kit the biscuit dough, and that's the first thing we're going to get going because this is going to take about 10 minutes to cook. What I like to do is take the biscuit dough and just a little bit of the flour I gave you. You don't need a lot, just a light sprinkle of the flour, and that's just going to catch those little wet spots and keep it from sticking. And then we're going to take our rolling pin and roll it to the thickness that you want. Like I like slightly thicker biscuits, so I go about the thickness of my thumb, but it's completely up to you. And then I'm just going to cut this in half and have 2 nice rectangle biscuits here. See? And these are going to go on a baking sheet and in that preheated 400-degree oven. So I'm going to throw mine in while you're doing that, and then we'll get going on the gravy.
Are you the only person taking the class?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just us today. We got a nice intimate class.
Wow.
So all the pressure is on you.
Yeah. You did such a nice job. We just love it.
Oh, thank you. It is a ton of fun for us too. Obviously, we'd rather be here with you, but at least we could do this. So let me know when you're ready, and we'll start talking about the gravy.
You said they should be about as thick as your thumb?
Yeah, about that thickness. That's kind of where I like to do it because they are going to puff up because the baking powder in there. So I think that's a good thickness for biscuits and gravy.
I read that you have some sort of a show coming up.
Yeah, from Fairway to Table.
Yeah, it released a few weeks ago. Episode 2 comes out on the 12th. Going to country clubs around the country and cooking with the chefs. It's really cool.
Where can we find the show?
It's on Golf Pass. It's NBC's digital channel.
Okay.
And then in July, it's going to release on Peacock, NBC's kind of version of Netflix. But if you're a golfer, Golf Pass is awesome. It's a really cool platform.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's fun.
All right.
All right. So let's.
So the oven is up, but the biscuits are made. So I'll pop those in as soon as it reaches temperature.
Perfect. So let's talk about our sausage gravy here. And I gave you sausage links.
Right.
You can do this with sausage patties also, but we don't carry patties. We just carry the links right now. So you're going to want to peel the casing off the sausage. So I just take a knife and run it along and just get all that meat out of there.
While he's doing that, we ordered the what do you call it? The fish.
Dover
sole.
I couldn't believe the size of it.
Oh yeah, and it's crazy once you fillet it down how small it actually gets.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
Should make both of them for 2 people, both kits.
Normally, yeah. I mean, we do 1 Dover sole per person, and that 20 to 24 ounce Dover sole yields about 7 ounces of cooked fish.
No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
the fillets are real small in those flat fishes.
Okay. What do you do with the rest of the fish? Nothing?
The bones, it depends. You know, sometimes I'll use them to make a soup, but we do so much Dover sole that we end up tossing those bones normally.
Gotcha.
So I got my pot preheating with right here, and I'm going to add a little bit of oil. I don't want a ton of oil because pork sausage has a lot of fat to it.
Right.
But enough just to coat the bottom of the pan and get it started.
Okay.
And my pot's on like a medium-high heat.
All right.
And then I'm going to take the sausage and just break it into chunks and drop it in the pot.
Gotcha.
It just makes it a little easier and kind of helps you guarantee that you have a nice big chunky sausage gravy. If
Yep.
you like it a little finer, you can take this whole piece and drop it in there and just take a whisk and mash it up.
Chunky's good.
Yeah, I like big chunks. This is one of my favorite things to eat.
Oh, no kidding. A buddy of mine, when he makes it, he puts in about, in with the sausage, he puts about, maybe 10 or 15% chorizo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man,
That's
it's
awesome. You know, there's, if you've ever had Nduja, the spicy Italian sausage, it's like a salami with stuff, makes an awesome one. Super spicy and greasy, but really good.
Cool.
But I love the classics.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna actually move this little forward so you can see it better. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let this cook without moving it around first. I want it to start to caramelize. I want it to, you know, pick up some of the sugars that are in here and cook it.
Right.
And I don't want it to stick. So if it's sticking, I'm gonna leave it alone and let it keep caramelizing. Because if I move it when it's sticking, then you see it doesn't get any caramelization. It just gets a strong color. And all the flavor comes in this point. And that's why when we add our seasonings, we're going to do it to taste, because every type of sausage you buy is different. You know, ours requires a certain amount of salt, whereas there are saltier ones, less salty ones, better. So I let this cook and just kind of let it do its thing, and it's smoking up the kitchen nicely.
I get in trouble when I do that.
I do too. I set off the smoke alarm at home almost every time I cook, and my wife says, "Why do you keep setting it off?" And I tell her, like, I'm used to high heat, giant ventilation hoods above me. Like,
well, you got to cook quick.
Yeah.
I get it. At home, you can do slow and easy.
Yep.
Well, you need the exhaust to the high heat.
Yeah. So this is the caramelization we're looking for on the sausage, if you could see it.
Yeah. Okay.
And you're not going to get it all over, but you want to get it enough where it builds up a great, what's called a fond at the bottom of the pan.
Right.
Kind of all that brown at the bottom. That's the good stuff right there. And now what I'm going to do is turn this low, and because the amount of grease that the sausage is giving off, I'm only going to use half the butter.
Half the butter?
Yeah.
Okay. I got to brown mine a little bit more yet, but we'll brown it. I'll put half the butter.
Now, when I add the butter and it starts to melt, this is the base to make the roux, which is going to thicken up the sausage gravy.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the flour and throw it in and stir it up. And what I want to see it look like is like wet sand.
Like what?
Wet sand.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stir it around and yeah, exactly. And I'm going to let this cook and toast while I move it around, so it cooks out that raw flavor and gives us a little bit of nuttiness to the gravy.
Yeah, somebody told me that when it starts to smell like a pie crust, it's done.
That's right. You know what? That's a great reference tool to use. I'm gonna start using that description.
Cool.
Oh man, this is already smelling great. So this only takes like 3 or 4 minutes of stirring, you know, to get that kind of nuttiness to come out.
Yeah.
And the more you move it around, the less chance you have of this burning when we add our milk to it.
Got it. So right now you've got the butter in, you got the sausage in, and you've got the flour in?
That's correct.
Okay. I got the butter in. I'm working up to the flour.
All right. I'm going to throw 1 bay leaf in too right now, just to let it start infusing.
Yep.
Mine's already there. It's starting to smell nice and nutty. So I'm going to pour the milk in.
Gotcha.
And when you pour the milk in, give it a stir to kind of get all those chunks of roux at the bottom.
Right.
And then we're going to bring this to a simmer.
Okay.
So that'll give you a good chance to kind of catch up with all your stuff.
Great. I got 2 cups of flour, both, right?
Yep. Yeah, so whenever you do a roux, you want it to be equal parts by weight of flour and fat.
Gotcha.
So, you know, we're using pork fat and the butter as our kind of thickening fat.
Right.
If I was just using straight butter and flour, it'd be equal parts by weight.
Gotcha.
All right, I'm gonna let this hit a simmer. I'm gonna check on my biscuits real quick. my biscuits actually only need like 2 more minutes, which is great. So this is coming to a boil. Now, when this hits a boil, you're going to want to drop it down to a simmer. Let it just slowly simmer, stirring occasionally. And
Gotcha.
if you have it at too high of a boil, it's going to burn. It's going to evaporate too much liquid out. It's going to get real thick on you. But at this point now, as the sausage is cooking, it's infusing the milk with all these flavors. So I'm going to add a little bit of the black pepper, a little bit of Tabasco, and a little bit of salt, and then see where I'm at with flavor. But nothing in this process, besides burning it, is not fixable. So if your gravy's too thick, you can add a little milk to thin it out. If it's too thin, you can add a little more roux to thicken it up. That's kind of the beauty of this dish.
Gotcha. And this is buttermilk?
I beg your pardon?
It's buttermilk?
This is whole milk. Buttermilk is in the biscuit.
Okay.
Mm. Let me grab my biscuits out because they're done.
Yeah, I just popped mine in. All the milk, right?
Yes, sorry, almond milk. I'm going to spice mine up a little bit.
Oh, bring it up to a boil and take it down to a simmer, right?
Yep, and it should be just a nice, thick kind of gravy it'll turn into.
Okay.
And then once it starts simmering, after it simmers for a minute or two, then you're going to start tasting it and deciding how you want to season it. I love a spicy sausage gravy with a lot of Tabasco, so I put extra Tabasco in mine.
Gotcha. Well, we're kind of hot sissies over here, so we don't do as much.
That's why I always tell people do it to your liking.
Yep.
So my biscuits are already done, and I can tell because they puffed up nicely. They have a nice, beautiful golden
nice
brown
color.
crust to them. Yeah, they look great.
Yeah.
And if you press on them, they should just have just a light spring.
Got it.
And, you're going to want to let them rest for a minute before we go ahead and actually use them for the biscuits and gravy.
Yep.
So there's a few different ways people like to do it. One is cutting the biscuit in half,
Right.
which is a great way to do because it sobs up the gravy.
Yep.
And the other is leaving it whole, which I actually like it that way more because you get different textures in your dish.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's completely up to you. But we're going to let this continue to cook for a second.
Yeah, it's starting to thicken up nice now.
Yeah.
And it's not even at a simmer yet.
It's good. I love our breakfast sausage here.
Oh,
I can't believe how much of it we go through in the market. It's crazy. I mean, we literally, I was like, okay, bacon's going to move, which it does. I mean, we're selling probably 40 or 50 pounds of bacon a week. But the breakfast sausage is going like crazy. People really miss it.
Yeah. Well, and I truly do love a good biscuit and gravy.
I do too. All right. So I'm going to push my bay leaf aside. This is the hardest part of the recipe. Hope you're paying attention.
Yep, I got it. I'm on it.
You just want to get as much of that sausage gravy on there as you could. And that's it. That's my Southern style biscuits and gravy. I love it. I absolutely love it. Any questions on that?
Today, I feel accomplished today for a reason.
You should. You made a lovely dinner and you technically made breakfast. So it's like you cooked twice.
Right.
That's it?
That's it. We're done. Wait for the biscuits and do a little additional seasoning and we're done.
Yep.
Oh,
Awesome.
One other thing before you go, I wanted to tell you your gumbo is really
Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh, did you like that?
Oh, yeah.
That was fun. And did you do the whole wait till the next day because it's so much better?
Absolutely.
I've done this a couple times in New Orleans over the years, and yours is so much fresher and brighter than that cooked to death recipe that they teach there.
Yeah, the New Orleans School of Cooking.
And I love love New Orleans gumbo, but you're right. It has a natural heaviness to it that
Oh yeah.
you can't eat all the time at home. And even in New Orleans, by my third bowl of gumbo, you know, I was like, I think I'm gumboed out for the trip.
Right. Well, you've gone to the gumbo shop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good spot.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. I love New Orleans. I can't wait to go back. But I love going for the food. I'm not a big fan of the nightlife there as much.
No, but I do like the people. They're very gracious, friendly people.
They are. They really are. I love the South in general too. I mean,
Yeah.
literally everywhere, whether you're in Alabama or, I mean, anywhere, it's just awesome. Great people.
Well, my kid brother and his wife lived down in North Carolina for about the last 20 years, and they are
Love
now
the Carolinas.
officially Southern people.
You got to go get the whole hog barbecue in the Carolinas. It's the
Oh,
best.
God, yeah.
Oh, it's so good. So good. Awesome. Well, thank you guys.
Well, thank you, Chef.
Enjoy your breakfast for dinner.
Appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon.
All right. Sounds great.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.